This week on The Gun Room, we're casting a beady eye over what I think is going to be one of the most significant and important rifle introductions of 2022, the Springfield Armory Hellion.
Range shooting the VHS-2, which was really controllable on full auto.
Now, the Hellion is not one of those rifles that just appeared out of nowhere. It was first introduced in 2013 into Croatian service, and it's been kicking ass over there ever since. So, unlike some rifles I can think of, you guys are probably not going to wind up being the beta testers for it. Pretty much sure all the bugs have been worked out already. Certainly, any of the Croatian SF and the SWAT teams that I shot with over in Croatia in the summer of 2021, they kind of liked the gun, and they could have chosen pretty much anything to go to war with, and they chose this. And the reason being that it's a bullpup, and it's great in CQB environments that they work in, and so its overall length, you got a 16-inch barrel in there, short, compact overall length. It's the same length as a 10.3-inch AR, so you're not sacrificing anything when it comes to ballistics or downrange performance of 5.56 versus, say, a 10.3-inch. Anyway, the guys over there like it, and I kind of like it too in its civilian version. So there's been some significant changes from the service rifle to the one that we're seeing right now, but they're not so significant that I think they're going to impact the performance of the gun. Before we get too deeply into that, let's take a look at the gun as an overall package and take a look at some of the features of it. First off, from the muzzle end, we've got a 4-prong muzzle device, and that's threaded onto the barrel, which is 1/2-inch 28, which should fit pretty much any device that you want to put on there, plus any cans that you want to thread onto. The reason I mentioned suppressors is that it does have a 2-position gas block right here with positions for both normal and suppressed fire. The overseas version, well, that has a 2-position gas block also, but in that position it is either off or normal. And the reason it has an off position is for launching rifle grenades. I would have preferred to see a 3-position gas block on there, normal, suppressed, and adverse, but hey, you can't have everything. The barrel itself is cold hammer forged, it's 16.1 inches, as I mentioned, and it's nitride treated, so it should last a long time. And the profile is really pretty well thought out. It has a lot of meat over the chamber area, and then it progressively tapers down to the muzzle, so you don't have a lot of weight out front. Up on this aluminum Picatinny rail up here, we've got some integrated backup iron sights, and these backup sights are as good as anything else that's on the market there. Just below them is a pivoting eye for anybody who runs HK style clash hooks on their slings, and if you don't want to do that, then there are sling swivel QD points on both sides of the forend. The forend is another departure from the Croatian version in that it's got M-LOK slots on both the 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions, so you can mount up anything you want up there, lights, lasers, what have you, and to the rear of that is your completely ambi charging handle. So both righties and lefties can use that. It swings and pivots out of the way. And at the back of that is a forward assist. The forward assist, well, it's as good as any forward assist I've seen, which is, well, you know, eh. All right, further back, The pistol grip is another departure from the Croatian version, and in this one, it's your pretty much standard AR-15 pistol grip. You can unscrew that and bolt up anything else that you want on there, should you prefer a different model to the one it comes with. The pistol grip angle itself is pretty steep, which is kind of favored right now, and above that is a 2-position selector switch. A 2-position for the US market again, and overseas you'll see that go to the 3rd position further down, and that would be your full auto. This is one of my few niggles about the gun itself, is that the selector switch itself, with just the 2 positions, it's kind of it's more difficult to manipulate than it has to be. And I think if you're just going to be stuck with a semi-auto, then you might as well have something shaped a little bit more comfortably. Both sides of the gun have ejection port doors, a la AR-15. On this one, it's set up as a right-hand shooter, so as a left-hand port door is closed and it's pinned so it can't come open. And there's a cheek piece which covers that mechanism right here. Moving on back, we have a buttstock, an adjustable buttstock on a bullpup. Yep, sure enough, this one is a 5-position buttstock, and if you have baboon arms, then yep, run it out to the outside position. The majority of US shooters, I think, are going to be served with it either right up snug against the forward position or 1 click back. I like it 1 click back, and that seems to work pretty well for me. So much for the exterior features of the gun. Now, you probably noticed that during the last 5 minutes, at no point did I mention an exterior manual bolt hold open, and that's because it doesn't have one. And I thought, well, that is going to be a problem, particularly in the event of a stoppage. However, it really isn't as big of a deal as you might think, and the reason for that is if, for example, I'm clearing a stoppage from this gun and first off strip the magazine, or in the event of a double feed, say the bolt's forward, what I'm going to do is grab hold of the charging handle and then just lock it to the rear by bringing my thumb around the back of the pistol grip, and I can hold that pretty much all day. And at that point, I can then do the tactical tickle, remove whatever's causing the stoppage, and get back in the fight. Now, it's a little bit easier than AR because the magazine wall is shorter, so I can get my fingers up there a lot easier, and also the ejection port is bigger. So again, get in there, clear what's happening, and then off to the races we go. In the event of changing magazines, one of the real common criticisms of bullpups is that they're slower on the reload, and that's true for the most part. It adds about 0.8 of a second to my reload. Now, is that significant enough to cause you to not want to use this gun? Well, that's your call. However, what I have found is that if you are stripping the magazine out, as you should do in an AR rather than just letting gravity take its course, it's not that much of a disadvantage. Because what I'm going to do is, in the case of reloading this weapon, strip the magazine out, reinsert my magazine, hit the bolt release, and I'm back in the fight. Again, about 0.8 of a second slower if you really push it. All right, let's completely field strip this gun, and then we'll reconfigure it in order to accommodate left-handers, just to show you how easy it is. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is check it's clear and cock the weapon. Next up is remove the handguard and pull out the takedown pin. It's a captive pin, pretty much like on an AR. Handguard comes off, and you can see where it's keyed, as I showed before. And so next thing I'm going to take out is the buttstock. So buttstock comes off, rear takedown pin, that comes out, and pull the buttstock off. At this point, I can remove the bolt carrier group, simply slide the charging handle back, and out comes my bolt carrier group. Next thing I'm going to remove is the top cover. Press in the button right here, lift up the top cover, and off that comes. Now, for normal daily cleaning, I don't have to do this, but just to show you, it does have a removable magazine well, and we can pop that out like that. And as you can see, it comes with an integral magazine catch so that you can swap it over to G36 mags or pretty much whatever you have. I'm going to take down the gas components now and remove my up rod by compressing the spring and then just pulling that out. And then the gas piston follows it. As you can see, this one's pretty grubby. I'd clean that off. And there's also some gas rings on there, pretty much like an AR-15. Once I'm at that position, I can then, if I really wanted to, remove the fire control group, push in on the button, remove the fire control group. And as you can see, it's got kind of an AR-ish feel to it, although it's cassette mounted like, say, a P90. Out that comes, and at this position now, I can pop up the cheek piece, pull that back to the rear, and then lift it up, and that reveals a little pin which secures the left-hand ejection port door. You see right through the gun at that point. I'm going to close up the right-hand door, replace the pin, and lock it in position. And at this point, what I'm going to do is change over my bolt carrier group from right-hand to left-handed operation. To do that, I'm going to take my takedown tool, press out the pin, takedown pin on the left-hand side, out it comes. Again, be careful not to lose your firing pin. The firing pin is normally held in place by that little fella here, which is a firing pin safety. And unless that's pushed out of the way by the hammer, there's no real way that that can contact the primer. Okay, there's the cam track and cam pin. What I'm going to do is roll that over and pull it out. And once that's out, I can then change my bolt over so that the ejector is opposite the left-hand ejector door. Once that's in position, I can reinstall my cam pin. There we go. Okay, cam pin's installed. And then I'm going to put in my firing pin and spring. Move the firing pin safety out of the way in order to get that in. Once it's in location, I can then put in my takedown pin. Okay, so that's functional. Okay, let's put this thing back together. First off, my fire control group, and you've just got to take care that it engages the trigger bar. Once it does, okay, trigger group is in. Next up, magazine well. Tip it in from the back, push it to the front, insert the takedown pin. And now my gas system components. Gas piston goes into the gas block, and then rather than fight this into place, you rotate the keeper out through 90 degrees. Press the gas components in. There's my operating rod, compressor spring, roll it around, and you don't have to fight it. Next up, I'm just going to take my upper receiver, put it onto the gas block on that little hook, press it down into position, make sure it's snug, and from there, I can reinsert my bolt carrier group. Bolt carrier group goes in, and rather than slam that the whole way in, what I'm going to do is just keep it slightly out there so you can see the tail of the bolt carrier group. And by doing so, that gives you the opportunity to line up the guide rods so you're not having to fight them. And once they're in place like that, you can just shove everything home. And last but not least, put the handguard in. Okay, function check. And that's the rifle completely stripped, reassembled, and set up to accommodate 13% of the population who are left-handers. You're welcome. Okay, so that's the Springfield Armory Hellion in a nutshell. I've been really impressed running this gun over the past few months, and certainly when I shot it over in Croatia and talked to the guys who've been employing it in frontline service for the last 7 years. You kind of figure that they would have discovered something by now, any fundamental shortcomings with the design. Anyway, if you are in the market for a bullpup or kind of like the idea of owning this one, then definitely go to Recoil Web, go and enter to win it, and hopefully you get your hands on one for free.